Hello and welcome to another episode of unComplex, where we take the complexity out of business and technology trends. Today we're focusing on the space of technology, creativity, AI, and for this we are very fortunate to have with us Agnieszka Pilat, all the way from the United States, originally Polish. She came to Warsaw for an exhibition in Łódź, which I was fortunate to attend, and she's here for the big event, the Masters and Robots conference taking place today. So in fact, in just a couple of hours she will be giving a speech. And we are very happy to have her here. She's famous for, first of all, painting machines, but then also teaching machines to paint, and not just to paint. So we're going to have a great discussion around this. And then joining me as well is my good friend Laurent Uhres. He is a technologist, modern-day polymath, and he's the VP of Innovation and Digital Transformation at Webellian.
Yes.
Thank you, Laurent.
Thank you for having us.
Agnieszka, please tell us a little bit more about yourself. Background, your exhibitions, how you came, actually before we get to the exhibitions, did you start to paint machines? What drew you to this?
So I come from a classical background, actually comic book background, to classical painting and then technology. And it's a pretty simple transition what happened. I was trained to paint human portraiture, and now imagine I'm in Silicon Valley and I'm painting portraits of humans, and it struck me, well, portraiture truly a conversation about power structures in society. So the example I like to give is you go to a museum, you look at the wall, you see who had their portrait painted, you know who held power. So here I am in Silicon Valley. Power really moved from humans to technology. So I started painting portraits of technology machines as the aristocracy of America, aristocracy of Silicon Valley. That was the transition.
That's a fascinating approach. And tell me, were you met with criticism from the art critics?
Not till I started teaching machines to paint. So
That's a jump, right?
Yes. There was people started getting very uncomfortable. In fact, early on, it wasn't criticism, it's more about questions. Is it art if a machine paints? But when generative AI came with such a force, artist community really turned on technology. Mm-hmm. And I became probably one of the artists being criticized for using technology to make art.
Career, right?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
And I noticed you even went so far as to call yourself the propagandist of technology.
Yes, I'm
That's
a propaganda.
Statement.
Yes, propaganda artist for the machine, and that kind of what my background is. I was born in Poland, behind the Iron Wall, so I understand the power of technology as a power of art to spread ideas.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And communists created great art, actually.
Yeah, but even writers. I mean, I don't know Poland as well, but in Germany as well, writers were used to, propagate ideas. But some of those writers are still recognized as, good writers, even though the ideas they express were the ideas of communism. But as you said, the art was still there, right?
Yeah, I mean, Leni Lichtenstein, of course, amazing filmmaker, but of course, propaganda for the Nazis.
Exactly.
And in fact, but it's not that odd because power structures use very good art to tell their story. So art is still very good. The story sometimes is disturbing.
Exactly.
And you've made quite a name for yourself in the States. I believe in Poland people are not so familiar with you, which is a shame. I would love for that to change as well. And I came across an article, New York Magazine, saying that you are, in fact, the favorite artist in Silicon Valley. That is quite a bold title.
Yes, well, I'm very honored to be named that. And then not also because, the art world always leans towards the left and anti-technology. So sometimes with big institutions, curators, it's actually problematic to be named that.
But nonetheless, you've had a lot of success internationally as well. You've had amazing exhibitions. You had in Australia at the National Museum of Victoria, right?
Yes,
Can you tell us a little bit more about this? Because that's quite an interesting one with actually robots taking the lead.
Yeah, it was a great exhibit, great institution, National Gallery of Victoria, the largest installation I ever built. So I work with a team of people, of course, at this point, and we had 3 Boston Dynamics robots. I don't work for Boston Dynamics. I always like to say that they're a very good partner. We love each other, we collaborate, but I don't get paid to promote them. It's very important for me to always say that.
I suppose you have artistic freedom, right?
Exactly, because otherwise I'd be propaganda artist for Boston Dynamics.
Actually, I wanted to ask that question, right? Because when you mention this, propaganda artist for robots, are you also not by transitivity propaganda artist for those companies? But as you say, no, you're free to do.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I like to say I work for the machine, which is kind of more sexy way of saying I'm a propaganda artist for the machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
So National Gallery Victoria, amazing team, great curator approached me, and we had 3 robots kind of living and creating art for 4 months in a very, very big space. I think a couple of million people saw the exhibition. It was great.
And what was the interaction of the public?
Well, it's interesting. I'm going to say, for example, for kids. So robots are almost like a Rorschach test. You can tell so much from how people react to a robot and making art. Robot making art tells them a lot about their own programming and about their own education, prejudice, growing up. So children love them. Children, they're just totally unashamedly, loving towards the robots. They're not scared. They don't have any reservations because they have not seen all these Hollywood movies showing Terminator. So kids were generally super excited. And overall positive. One kid threw a pacifier at a robot. We don't know what that means. I think it's an act of love. So nobody attacked the robots. Overall, actually, it was a very peaceful exhibition.
But can you tell us a little bit more about how the robots are painting? What kind of freedom they have? Where is your artistic curator or choreography lay inside the creation process?
Yeah, sure. So, that's an important question, and people just always like to know how this happens. So, first of all, I never use full stack models. So, still old-fashioned computer programming for the robots. What I mean by that, we still divide by modules. So painting is a separate module. Perception is a separate module. Locomotion separate. So the only really truly, let me back up. Now it's Google Maps. When it didn't work was early AI. So it's all AI, but like the unpredictable, the most free AI that I don't know what's going to happen in the painting, which is we have our own model. It's a small model, only 16 characters. And within these characters, the robots have freedom to write messages. They look abstract. The idea is that this is a new language of the new civilization. When you think about ancient humans, how they created, first Lascaux caverns, Aboriginal art. So first attempts at communication.
So very naive, maybe also?
Very much so, yes. Naive, childish. I think of it as a kindergarten or nursery for the robots. And the message is just like children, like even if you guys had kids, young children, just like these young robots, they're self-centered. They want to show something and they want to show. And hopefully in the future, the language is going to move towards communication and curiosity.
So what kind of vocabulary are you teaching them?
Well, they have, I use English, I use natural language prompt, very, very complex prompt, but they are abstracted the way they are. I use hexadecimal code to abstract the messages. So this is a bit of a bow towards Enigma. Polish mathematicians invented Enigma. Yeah. We in Poland were always very obsessed, like nobody appreciates that we really cracked the Enigma. We had a part in it. Yeah. So it's a bit of a honoring Enigma. I don't like saying 100% how everything works because that takes away the magic.
You want to keep that magic a bit?
I want to keep that magic a bit, yes.
Yeah. So you're in the movements of what you call it, robot art. Is that something is it comparable to other artists, or do you see it as something really fundamentally different to what was done with automatas,
Yeah. Yeah, I know that's so important, because hopefully, ideally, this will be a trend and history will call it somehow.
Yeah.
I think the earliest I would be actually thinking about Jean Tinguely with the machine kind of having personalities and doing silly things. So I think that would be the earliest predecessor of my machine art.
Okay.
We don't know how it's going to be called yet. History will tell.
Yeah.
Laurent, you're also a composer.
Yes.
He's an incredible musician, making beautiful ballets as well that are traveling through Europe.
I don't do the ballet, right?
Right.
I do the music for the ballet.
The music for the ballet.
You don't dance. You don't do the dance.
I work with choreographers.
And I'm feeling that we're moving towards a space of talking about authorship. And I'm curious, do you ever use AI tools as well to compose? And how do you feel about this?
Okay, so I'm going to be honest, not for composing. I tried it just for the fun of it. And what came out of it was not usable, or it was not, frankly, there's something in art which is related to pain. You need to suffer to make it, and
yes,
right?
I agree. Yes,
right? You need to suffer to make it, and I didn't suffer. I mean, suffer by the result. I was like, what? It's so bad. No, but however, there's something that comes with AI. I'm not going to talk about music and AI and Spotify and all these debates, but there are things that AI brings, which is in any tool that help you to make your art or whatever you do better. And so production.
Right.
So production is something quite complicated in music, making it sound right. First you compose, and then you mix, and then you produce the music so that the mix is nice. It has whatever quality you want to have. And, typically that's an engineering approach. You have a production engineer, a sound engineer, and now we have these plugins that allow you to have that AI engineer for you to make the music sound like you want it to be, right?
So it's a very interesting difference here, because what you're talking about.
So there's a process, right? So there's composing, and then in the phase of where you are after composing, where you actually produce the music, right? Then AI can play an interesting role.
But still, you feel you maintain complete full authorship.
Oh yeah.
Using AI as a tool to just fine-tune and create the improved result. And
the improved result is only on the audio. It's not on the music itself. It doesn't change the music, right? It changes just how things are balanced in the music. Like, the violins are like this, or, the cellos are like that, or whatever instrument I use, or electronic instrument. And it's just balancing out.
So for mixing almost.
Exactly,
mixing.
Yeah.
So your DJ set is AI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your sound engineer is an AI. And that's nice.
And on your side of the table, we're talking about properly embodied AI, or at least the intelligence that you are creating. That's a completely different space again. Because now, who has the authorship? Who is the creator? How do you position this?
Yeah, for me, definitely the robot is more than a tool. It's more of a partner at this point.
Yeah. Because it does something for you, right?
Yes, correct. Yes, like I
it's not like a pen.
myself.
It's not like a pen that you use because you could write with a different tool.
Yes.
Yeah.
I automated myself out of my job as an artist. Like,
that's fantastic.
Does everything.
That's so meta.
So it's more than a tool. Yeah. It's a partner. But again, I am more like Renaissance master, and this is just an apprenticeship that comes into the studio and it's just learning. But this is my attempt at immortality. So I think Sol LeWitt, an artist who did his art with really instructions. So what Sol LeWitt would do, he would draw a little picture with like different instructions. He would actually write, go this many red lines, go this way, and now, Sol has been gone for maybe 20 years. He died 20 years ago maybe, but his art is being created now still around the world, because the instruction is the art. So that's also kind of genesis a little bit for me.
And it's also, maybe, I'm not so good at art history, but it sounds like Italian, workshops where all these artists would be trained
100%.
By a master.
Correct.
And anybody coming out of that would roughly do the same kind of art. You would say, okay, that's school, right?
Yeah, exactly. exactly.
Okay, wow, yeah.
Yes, that's kind of what I think. I think that's the future. That's not unique.
And do you
to
see
that.
your robots continuing to paint and maybe also advance their
But
techniques?
forever.
Yes,
so.
forever.
First, I want to turn
Teaching other robots how to paint.
Ooh.
Oh, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's why I'm
Now
saying it's
that-
forever.
yeah.
It's
Yes.
forever.
Yeah.
And looking back at the history books of, oh, this is our grandchildren.
Yeah.
Look, oh no, great grandfathers, what they made, these
Yeah.
very naive, basic sketches. And now look how far we have evolved.
I want to do that
Yes.
in music.
Yes. Yeah.
That's so amazing now. You inspire me.
Yeah.
Think about that.
You mean Basha inspires you, my robot?
Yeah.
Good.
The setup inspires me. Yeah, because you can do it with music. Like every composer has its way or its quirks and,
With music is also interesting
the
because.
patterns you repeat and things like that, and you go like, hey, now I can have.
But like, how do you like relate this to before there was recorded music? Like the sheet was it, right? And how was the like?
But there were no new compositions, right? You could play like Chopin, but could you compose like Chopin, right? That's the thing.
There was just Chopin, I think.
Yeah, no, but there's still.
It's still happening.
Yeah, it's still happening. Yeah.
Okay. This week there was some big competition.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's still ongoing.
So you mentioned Renaissance. So Renaissance 2.0, I believe this was part of 2.0. Can you tell us a little bit more about this painting, which I'm very grateful to be the owner of?
Yeah.
And just in general, the show, what you planned, how did it come to the point that you're basically canonizing machines? Tell us a bit more about this.
Yeah. So the idea of Renaissance, beyond being the master and the apprentice program, is also about the concentration of talent. And as much as we live in a global world, I still do think that when it comes to technology, and it's confirmed now with, again, OpenAI being in San Francisco, the density of talent and access to capital in Silicon Valley was like a parallel to what was happening in the Renaissance. So you can't plan. So as much as globally a lot of things are happening, and now there's these hubs of technology, and there were great artists during the Renaissance. But if you were a young student of art and you walk down the street, and you by accident bump into a master and you see it, there's some magic happens that you can't repeat online. There's this physical connection. And I thought, and that's why the idea about the Renaissance 2.0, comparing Silicon Valley innovation, risk-taking, access to capital, and impact, the same as what happened in the Renaissance.
I didn't see it like that, but
Right?
It's more than technology. It's more intellectual, also philosophical, maybe even.
It just changed the world, right?
It's like the writers in Paris, early 20th century, or where you have this concentration of people that come together and create enormous ideas and art. Might it be written art or whatever art, and I hadn't. Yes.
Yeah, like the same way I think like street art is very special, and Banksy is so special because you can't curate your experience as a person going down the street. And New York is very special about it. There is so much amazing graffiti and street art. It's very different than going to a white cube gallery and seeing art. And so innovation in art doesn't happen in museum. It happens on the streets.
Yeah.
And tell me, how did you come to be connected with great brands like Boston Dynamics, SpaceX,
a lot of begging.
Waymo?
I beg. I'm like, first I find someone in the C-suite. I have a very big network. So I will find someone in the C-suite to get introduced to another C-suite in a different company. And I just tell them, can I just I just want to make a sketch. But in my mind, I'm already, okay, I'm going to set up a studio here and I'm going to stay here for 2 years and I want your robot.
Yeah.
But they don't know it yet. They're like,
okay,
yeah, sure, you can come make a sketch. So generally, that's how it happens. And so I go to companies that do important things, that do interesting things. They don't have artist residencies. It doesn't exist. I create artist residency for myself. And
for example, where?
Agility Robotics, right now, I'm super excited. That's a bipedal robot. They created Digit, was just on the cover of Time magazine last December. And Digit is there's a revolution now. There's a lot of hype about bipedal robots, and probably Digit is the most capable, and Digit is the one actually making money. There's one factory that they're actually on the factory line. And what's interesting is that when I come, and again, I mentioned before, I don't get paid to do it because I don't want to be restricted by who wants to pay me or can pay me. I'm truly interested what is the best technology. The same thing happened at SpaceX. I set up a studio at SpaceX, and the paintings are there, and the paintings became part of the collection. But I don't work for Elon Musk. I work for his technology, which is amazing.
And I remember that there was also an interesting story that some of your paintings were featured in Matrix.
Yes. Well, yes. I'm like, Matrix is very interesting because. Laurent, you might be familiar. You are too probably with Jean Baudrillard, a philosopher who wrote Simulacra and Simulation, and of course we're living in such interesting time to have this conversation. So I was invited to actually. My paintings were on loan to Lana Wachowski when she was writing The Last Matrix in her office, and then she knew the work, and then the set designer was like, well, let's put her paintings in the film too. So I have 2 paintings in the film. Yeah,
lovely.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Just going back to the topic, the previous topic about the robots and how you came.
How I weasel myself.
But more like so there is kind of a relationship between you and the company that provides the robot, I suppose, right? It's and so it's really. So I wrote a book about convergence between technology, art, design, and science, right?
Oh, amazing.
So how these topics.
That's why he's here.
And how these topics, when they overlap, there is some feedback loops that to create more knowledge or more. And so here it seems that you use the technology to create art, but is there a feedback from your art to the technologist saying, hey, here's something that a robot should be doing, or here's something I learned about a robot that...
Yeah, no, not at all. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because the way I approach it, like I take this amazing Boston Dynamics machine, and it draws like a child that is 3 years old.
Yeah.
So in fact, it's like, they're like, oh shit, I don't know, it's so good for our company. Like the robot can't even draw.
Yeah.
So it's the way I do it, I generally use the machine in a way that's not designed to be.
Okay.
To answer your question, will happen something different that is very valuable to these companies. It's not the C-suite, the CEO and so on. It's the engineers.
Yeah. I think they are interested, right?
Oh my God, it's so much fun.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, it's so much fun. So for them to have this silly artist on the floor and hey, can you do this? So I make demands on them all the time. Like, hey, can you do this with the robot? And they're like, and I get yelled at very often by C-suite. We told you, because their engineering time is very expensive.
Yeah.
So they're like, we told you can't bother engineers. But the engineers will have their, after hour projects. Yeah. And so I will hang out with them. So that relationship, so the business relationship is very uninteresting, but the creative is
of course,
very
that's actually what I meant, right? At the engineering level, at the technology level, and this represented by engineers. Yes, I'm sure they are curious, and they would know more about how you use it and how you would like to use it, so that they can improve. I find it though interesting that picking up what you said, that business says no, leave them alone. They have more important stuff to do. I don't know if they have more important stuff to do, because that's the stuff that a robot should be doing. Ultimately, is doing what humans do, and part of is art.
Yes.
So it seems a bit short-sighted to say that.
They're stressed out. I mean,
I understand. Right? They have some objectives, and they have money objectives.
That's right. That's
but
right.
Still, if I would be the CTO, I would say, hey guys, you get these 2 guys, right?
Yeah.
Full time for you.
Yeah. I mean, they've been very generous to me, but it's disorganized, the relationship. It's very unusual what I'm doing.
I think they don't know, right? They don't
know.
Yeah. They experiment as much as you experiment. They experiment as well. They're like, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And I suppose there's a whole legal department behind that saying, be careful.
Yes, and different companies have very different cultures
depending
too.
on what art you produce, maybe you don't want to be associated with that kind of art.
Yes, absolutely. I have a story for you. Very true. So so culture by company to company differs. So I was invited to do a painting at Google X. Then Waymo was a part of it still. And I was trying to paint a portrait of the LiDAR technology. And it came out very dark. And the CEO, John Kravchik, who is a good friend of mine, he's like scratching his head. He's like, this is not something we want to show, really.
Yeah.
So it depends. Yeah, across cultures, they're very, very different. Like they are. SpaceX is very different. Agility is actually one of my favorite now because they're very academically driven. It's two academics who started a company and they just wanted to solve the problem of bipedal really well. And their robot is the fastest robot in the world. Just beat the record 2 years ago. It really varies across platforms.
So we had an interesting discussion earlier about creativity and AI. And Laurent had a very interesting point on how creativity is still limited within the space of the models of AI. Maybe you can share a little bit more about this, because at the end of the day, we are thinking about where are we going to move towards. This is basically the whole space that we want to take the uncomplexity to, is to try and figure out if this is going to become the more dominant form of creating content. Typically for marketing, AI will eventually completely dominate. It's easy, it's cheap to create just ads. But then you move towards art, which is a much higher form. What will it take for technology to really fill this space and create its own creative vision? Are we there yet? Are we not? Where are we moving?
Yeah, that's a hope. You open a whole box there. As I said when we had this conversation, I mean, it's probably a PhD could talk better about this topic. But first to what you said, I think when you say marketing will use AI, I think there will be brands that would say, no, we are still human, right? We don't use AI. I think it's not going to be 100%, right? I think there are brands that want to distance themselves, say, no, we are fully human. There's no AI here, which is understandable. That's the stance to take. But about creativity. And I'm not making the argument. It's a general argument that is made based on some mathematical theorem by a gentleman called Gödel, and it's called the incompleteness theorem. And just to keep it very, very simple, if you consider that AI or any robot is just a mathematical model, then you are limited in what you can say about truth statement, right? There will be truth statement in that model. Mathematical model that you can't prove or disprove, which means you can't get there with your basic assumptions in the model, right? You can't derive all of the truth in that space based on that model, which means that there are things out there that mathematically you can't achieve, right? And then if you take the counterpart and saying that maybe the brain is not mathematical, maybe it is, but let's assume it's not, then probably we can do things that a mathematical model can never do, right? We can be more creative than any mathematical model. But there are a lot of assumptions here, right? There's the assumption that we are not mathematical. There's the assumption that we only build mathematical models. Maybe we can build other types of models. So maybe there's a hope that humans are not replaced in their creativity, right? That there's still something in the set of creative things that can happen. Yeah. At the end of time, when all creativity has been created, there's still things that only humans or brains could achieve, right? And not mathematical model. But that's just like any kind of thinking. It's whatever it is. Maybe it's just hope.
Yeah. Well, this might be counterintuitive what I say. Yeah. As an artist, as a working artist, full-time, that's artist. I think creativity is cheap, and we see this with AI right now. It's about having a vision, the meaning, the why you do it.
Yes, and the why, right?
The why is the why. And I think AI does not have the why. Right. This is Viktor Frankl, the why, the meaning of life. And I think AI will never have that. And so different definitions of what creativity really means.
I mean, I think yours would fall under art for art. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because it's just art. Why not?
Right? Could be that, yes.
But then creativity, why? Maybe it's about pain, about your life, what you experienced. Well,
it's all about it's all about like I have a why. That what because as an artist, it's a very hard career.
So hold on, can I say something?
Yeah.
Your art.
No. Yeah.
But I think then the art is not the painting. It's not the painting of the robot. The art, your whole art, is the robot and the painting. It's the whole process. It's not what.
Yeah, I mean, the
from
painting.
From what I see, it's not the painting. It's not the art. The art is the full process. The thing you do with the robot.
It is.
I feel that.
I think it's a quest for immortality. Ultimately.
And that's the why, right? That's why.
That's the ultimate.
Right.
Common why we all do, and we all have like different ways of doing that. But I think we all struggle as human beings with mortality, and we're trying to overcome it by.
So maybe in your equation, the AI doesn't matter. Actually, it's just a tool. It's just that's your art to be immortal, and you use the AI, and somebody else uses something else. It's fine. It's interesting.
Yeah,
I find that very...
it's yeah.
Sorry.
So no. It's all about the questions, of course. How you ask the question, this is all about John Brockman, good friend of mine, Edge website, and he's a literary agent, and it's all about he's asked the last question to all the most important minds in the world, and that's the website, and that's his legacy. And there's like, I think he's coming out with a print edition, like 30 tomes of these questions asked and answered by all the most brilliant minds of our time. It's about the question, the last question. He calls it the last question.
So, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, this links quite nicely with your metaphor of the cathedral as well, doesn't it? That you will be presenting today.
The mortality, correct, yes.
You can tell us more about this approach.
Yes. The talk is about from thumbnails to monuments, which is a bit. I asked that question. It's an ironic way to ask this question because we're actually going from monuments to thumbnails, and. Music, for me, music is interesting because I imagine the parallel would be to going to live symphony and having really the best experience, but it's a very temporal experience. You have to be in one place and experience it, and that's this kind of monument. With painting would be going to having a painting in person and having that personal moment of contemplation. But now, this is a thumbnail. 90% of art, more probably, is being experienced as a thumbnail that we scroll through. So the parallel to the cathedral that Adriaan mentions is about how, as human beings, as civilizations, we always built physical objects to what was most important to us, our cathedrals, and could be a literal cathedral like Notre Dame. Or could be a cathedral that's to a different idea that we worship. I think Poland, after 1809, the cathedral, and after the wall came down, consumerism became the cathedral, and the physical
shopping mall
manifestation was the mall. Shopping mall is the cathedral in Poland right now. In Silicon Valley, in New York, when Apple opened its first store, St. Patrick's Cathedral went to the background. That was the cathedral, right? But right now what's happening is the NVIDIA chip. That's the cathedral. So the cathedral is being built in the sky, which is very religious on one hand. But on the other hand, we have to ask ourselves the questions, is this the way we want to go? All the investment, all our talents going into the metaverse. Very religious, of course, because religion is all about disowning your body and going elsewhere. So that's the new religion, new cathedral we're building.
And very post-human as well, right? So,
yes, correct.
Yeah.
And it actually literally manifestates as well as a religion, as you've mentioned. There are some countries that people are actually following AI as a religion.
Oh, yeah. Well, not
already?
Not AI as a religion, but use AI to reach God. Right, it's not.
There are apps already.
Yeah. Well, you can find it on, what's the website? Doesn't matter, but the
App Store has apps that you can like talk to God.
Yeah, absolutely. Which
is a great business model. Which I'm digging it. It's interesting.
And I followed one and on Twitch,
right.
Twitch/Ask Jesus, I think it's called.
Okay.
Yeah. It's. I mean,
It's great.
I'm very susceptible to things like that. I could watch that for hours.
Do you have any AI girlfriend too? And how does your wife?
Yeah, exactly.
Feel about
That's
that?
a very excellent question. No, I don't have a girlfriend. I might have a mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a male voice or female voice?
I am not very voice. I'm more
Text.
Text. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it doesn't have a name.
Okay.
It doesn't. But I'm very gross and very insulting. I'm going like, you don't understand me, and using gross words.
And it apologizes.
Yes, and it apologizes. Yes.
All the time, right?
Yeah.
It's always
And then my friends say, "Be careful, because in 10 years from now, you'll be on the red list." So yeah.
You never said please.
I never said please. But that was not the question, right? Something I know. Yeah, about the religion. Yeah, I read an article on BBC. Yeah, about in some countries where people flock to AIs to talk to God, right, and give meaning to life through whatever Bible, whatever text they would use, and make interpretation of the those text in your life. Am I allowed to smoke? No, Jesus says. Blah, blah, am I allowed to? And you have thousands, tens of thousands of people doing that. It's insane. It's insane. Yeah, and I understand, right? Because the answers are there and they're logical, and you go, yeah, makes sense to my life, right?
Yeah. Imagine the power behind it, right?
That's what I told you yesterday. Is that you could assume that those who do it now have good intentions or neutral intentions, and they really train the eyes on the Bible. But what if they train it differently?
So what do you think now, living in Europe, you guys? I live in the States. There is AI is the Manhattan Project of our time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So beyond China and US, is there anyone else truly in the game, or is it just these two really fighting for supremacy?
Yeah, I mean, depends on what you look at, right? If you look at consumer environment, like ChatGPT, there's nothing in Europe that compares to that,
or anywhere else.
Yeah, but if you look at more specialized models, you would find European models that are used in car industry, in architecture. So you do have specialized models that are created by European companies. Right?
In terms of even like the political framework, does EU understand that need that again this is a nuclear weapon? And like
okay, so we are aligned on that. It's a nuclear weapon. I totally agree. I think it's even worse than a nuclear weapon.
That's the Oppenheimer.
Yeah, absolutely. And but do they understand?
Well, they want to regulate it.
Can all EU countries, because EU is so interesting, it's so exciting in terms of like there's all these different countries, different languages. Everyone has the big ego.
Exactly.
But so it's hard maybe to come to consensus. But a lot of innovation and variety of opinions come, which is a strength to it. But sometimes you need this central power to set, direction.
Exactly. And I think we don't see that in Europe. And I think there's the whole green aspect to it as well. There's a lot of, and it slows down our innovation in some areas.
Yeah.
By painting things in green and saying, and of course we have to, okay, we agree, but by saying that, okay, European models are green, okay, but they're less powerful. Okay, so who would choose a green model that's less powerful? It's not obvious where, what we try to achieve, right?
It's really interesting what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then as well, if we reach the stage of artificial general intelligence, will this also change the space? We at the moment, we pretty much all agree that it's America and China. But if this threshold gets crossed, will it mean that more people have the capability,
but you say
access to AGI?
But that's the thing, right? Because you say it's US and China. No, it's everybody. You can just download your model, put it on your laptop, and make it work. I mean, yes, it's if you look at companies, maybe it's US and China, right? The products that are on the market, but models, they are available to everyone.
Industry specific.
And they run general models, and they run on your machine.
Well, if you have start having Google see again about this, I'm very interested in the supremacy of the power, because the portraiture, the propaganda, that's like my background. And that's when China, its own case, they're dominant in their region. But if you have now in the US, Google or OpenAI, whatever, buying out all the startups, and they have the capital. I mean, the capital is there. Who sets the tone? Who sets the culture? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the models we use are the models trained by Americans. So yeah.
And it's kind of interesting being here. Like it's the right thing to do. Europeans are doing the privacy, but it's kind of infuriating. Any website I open, cookies, yes, no. It's like it's.
There's a dilemma here, right?
There's a dilemma, right? Yeah.
Protecting ourselves and the innovation.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's like just loss of productivity when I open the website. It's just, it's like ads, all these seconds ad.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's very interesting. Yeah, that battle, that Oppenheimer moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I remember one of your pieces, you mentioned that you took Basha for a walk, and that was a very interesting point that you made. Maybe you can explain this a little bit more in detail, considering the training data that goes into the robotics and this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes. So, I like working with robotics because they are like the Renaissance. They are attached to a place and a time, unlike digital AI that just lives in the cloud. So what happens when I am with the robot on the street, people are generally super excited. I mean, people come up, take pictures, selfies, ask questions, yada, yada. It's a very nice experience generally. If there is a negative experience, it may be eyes rolling or crossing the street. Now, when the video of the robot shows up on Instagram, some other social media platform, it's like a different world. It's all negativity and violent comments. Kick it, throw it into the river. This is the button. Just very, 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 very negative and mean comments. And now when you think about this in the context of large language models, they're learning about humanity, about our behaviors from these digital interactions. They don't learn how we behave in person. In person, we're much nicer. We're pretty good people in general. We don't on internet, we're terrible. We don't live on internet. It's a very specific culture. So now, in context of that, it's so important and unfortunate that AI is getting this personality vibe from our online behavior, unlike with the behavior with the robot Basha, which is in person. I think that's the biggest problem we're facing now also.
So you're saying there's a strong bias here?
Yes, it's the road rage on the internet.
Yeah. That's interesting. I wonder if whoever trains their model think about, I suppose they do, but then how do you counterbalance, right? Because you don't find...
Yeah. And that's why also robots and on the other hand, just in terms of technology, like we see demos of robots and they are, acting wonderfully and they are folding on laundry. Well, a lot of it is all staged or teleoperated, or like one demo in 100 works because we don't have enough data. It's not digitized, our world around us. So the robot, they might understand their own body very well. But as soon as they have to manipulate the environment, they're totally clueless. They don't have enough data. So the Internet of Things, or the embodied AI, it still lags behind AI quite a bit.
Agnieszka, tell us, what's planned ahead? Apart from the big speech today,
yes.
Do you have any interesting projects lined up?
Yes, very interesting.
Please tell us.
Please, I'll tell you. So I've been invited. I'm going to do an installation at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. Next year. It's an interesting, complicated project. It's 250th anniversary of signing Declaration of Independence in America. So it's a very big year for D.C. And it's politically complex because of new administration. Yes, I'm going to build a robotics installation, still zoning in on the, or zooming in on the project, exactly what's going to be. I might use some of the technology I developed with my team for the exhibition we just launched in Poland at the Central Museum of Textiles, where the robot is weaving, or should I say more like, making a pattern with yarn and fabric. Very interesting to me, that connection from loom machine, right? The first binary code.
The first machines, right?
Exactly, and the computer code, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it crazy how like the general public doesn't know that we are using 1800s concept
of course,
of binary code.
Fascinating.
Yeah. It all started there.
Right?
Punch cards and all the stuff.
Yeah.
To make patterns.
Correct. Yeah. The same punch cards then later used by IBM.
And
then the
ENIAC,
moment IBM.
Machines.
ENIAC, correct. Love ENIAC.
Yeah.
Yes. You're deep on that stuff. Yes. Again, and big machine, right? Big machine.
Huge machines. Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. I think that's all we have time for today. I'd love to take this conversation further offline.
Okay.
Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Click like and follow for the next, and hope to see you soon. Bye.